how you doing there, fans of Maximum Lucha? This is your friend Wildcat here with you, and tonight we're at Lucha Pro inside this very ring. Today, Mr. Mikey O'Shea went one-on-one with Shawn Winchester. Had one hell of a matchup. Mikey, I want to thank you for joining us here today.
Pleasure, man.
Sorry, I want to thank you for joining us.
It's all good.
Thank you very much. Listen, I want to ask you something. How did it go today? What do you think about your match? How do you rate it, tonight's match?
Because I think I'm awesome, and I think nobody can be as superior as me. Just kidding. I would say I give it a 6 or 7. You know, it was a no DQ match. There's plenty of things you could do in a no DQ match, and Shawn Winchester surprised the hell out of me tonight because I didn't see him coming out, elbow drop off the ropes and ground on me. Rudy's come a long way. He's only been a pro for just a little over a year, and he's really made a name for himself. And I really enjoyed our match tonight. He beat the hell out of me. He has some kickboxing training under his belt, and I'm still feeling the effects on my legs. He can kick. He ain't wearing no kick pads, which is even worse. And despite having a match with him today, we're still good friends, and we'll still tag up. And hopefully, if Lucha Pro ever has tag team titles again, you might see it on the shoulders of Mikey O'Shea and Mr. Shawn Winchester.
So, Mikey, we're going to take this time that we have you here and just take advantage of the situation and ask you a couple of things. First thing I want to ask you is, what caught your attention in the sport of wrestling? What's that drew you in?
Well, I was a kid, and I was a big fan of superheroes like Superman, and then Power Rangers came. And then one time I came across an episode of WWF. I don't remember what the show was called, but it was Saturday mornings they would have those. And I saw The Undertaker take on Giant Gonzalez. And the match ended with Big Boss Man coming in and knocking The Undertaker down. And even before I became a wrestling fan, I was a big fan of The Undertaker. He was just a total badass. He was the #1 badass of all the characters I've ever seen in wrestling. And I didn't become a real fan until middle of 2000. And that's when my friends were telling me, hey, The Undertaker's back, you should check out SmackDown. I'm like, what the hell is SmackDown? I thought WWF shows were just called WWF. So I watched a full show one time, I'm like, holy crap, all this action, 2 straight hours? That's awesome, man, and every single week. And, it's never seasonal, it's all the time. You're always gonna get a new episode each week. Wrestlers, just like MMA fighters, I'm not taking anything away from that. They are the most underpaid people you could ever see in sports entertainment. Because you see a bunch of these actors who get $30 million just to stand around and talk on a camera.
Right.
Whilst we put our bodies on the line and get the highest person gets paid is probably around the 7 figures, but this is a very great business as long as you stay away from all the dark stuff. And I just think wrestling doesn't get as much respect as it should, but it's not everyone's cup of tea, it's not everyone's deck of cards. But yeah, I got into wrestling finally in May of 2000, and 1 year after I became a fan, I went to Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim. That's where I consider the place to go and see wrestling for me, because that's where I live. It was an episode of SmackDown, May of 2001, and the main event was a TLC match between 4 different tag teams. And after that show, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. Unfortunately, I didn't know anything about independent wrestling until 7 years later. And then when I finally found out, I found the nearest school I could possibly find, and that was a place called Battleground Pro Wrestling. And for 15 long months, I trained every single week, never taking any time off, and I was in the worst shape of my life. I was near 400 pounds, but I wasn't gonna let any disadvantage stop me from being what I wanted to be. So September 26th, 2009, I began my journey as a professional wrestler.
Now, is that when you started as Mikey Callahan?
Mikey Callahan.
Tell us a little about that. How did you get that name?
Well, I'm a very big fan of Chris Farley, and we came up with this idea of me being Mikey Callahan due to Tommy Boy, because his name was Tommy Callahan. And then as time went on, I was trying to see when I'm going to be able to get on a local television show, good sister, Mikey O'Shea, who was getting on there on a regular basis, said, hey, what if I bring my little brother over? What a perfect way to make an entrance, then make a debut, than being the big bodyguard teddy bear of your sister, Mikey O'Shea. Freaking photobomb. So yeah, I think I'm getting out of track here. So yeah, that's how I went from Mikey Callahan to Mikey O'Shea. My wrestling name is Mikey Callahan O'Shea. I just don't have the Callahan. I just don't use the Callahan name. You know, I'm just trying to make my family proud and my sister proud. And I haven't seen her in a long time because she did her thing. But I love you, sis, and hopefully we get to work together again soon.
We've seen you wrestle for Battleground. We've seen you wrestle at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Where else have you wrestled?
Whenever I get a chance and I got no other bookings to do, I'd like to come here at Lucha Pro because there was a time in 2011 where I was sort of going through a dark phase because I let my ego get in the way because I thought I was just this big guy who deserves to, you know, be pushed to a certain amount. And I let my rookiness get the better of me, and it cost me a lot of bookings and opportunities. And during that time, I was only getting wrestling over at Battleground Pro Wrestling, and then I came across this place. And they gave me, wow. Lucha Pro gave me a shot to wrestle. Lucha Pro gave me a place to keep the rust off because they would have shows every single Sunday, and I never forgot about this place helped me improve myself and let me work on my craft. So that's why even today, when I'm getting booked a lot of other places, I'm going up north, I'm going to Arizona, I'll still come here whenever I can to wrestle.
That's one thing we've noticed, that Mikey, he'll go to Arizona, he'll go to Northern California, he'll travel, but he'll always come back here. That's one place that you're always going to see him in the future.
Every wrestler has their way of making decisions. Mine is never forget freaking Shawn. My thing is never forget where you came from. And you know, a lot of things have happened in my life that I'm proud of, and I'll still come here whenever I can to give back to the people that gave me an opportunity to wrestle when I was even going through a rough time.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years from today? 10 years.
Well, 10 years, I'll be 36. Hopefully by then I will be somewhere in this business. My main goal is obviously the big three in America, or go to Japan. I've had many tryouts with the company that convinced me to be a wrestler, and my main goal is to get there one day, and whatever comes of it, at least I can have to say that I experienced it and I made the best out of it. But you know, every day I wake up, wrestling's always in my mind. It's never going to go away. My main goal is to try and wrestle for 30 years. So far, I just passed the 4-year mark. Realistically, I don't know if it's going to happen because my back's already starting to feel like a 40-year-old. But I'm going to try my very best to stay in the sport physically. And if I can't do it anymore in the ring, I'll still be part of the business because I love it too much. But at 36 years old, I'd like to hope by that point I have made a dent in the world. And I really hope I inspired a lot of people to follow their dreams and not let their disadvantages or impossibilities prevent them from wanting to achieve it. Because everyone has a disadvantage, but your disadvantage should never ruin your chances of being what you want to be. If you really want it that bad.
Listen, Mikey, I want to go ahead and ask you one more question here before we take off here. But have you ever been injured to the point in a match where you weren't able to continue?
Thankfully not. Not yet. Funny, you know, I mean, there were times where I really hurt myself. Even my first match, I faced a guy named Tank Alvarado, who's from first match I had with him, he went for a body slam on me, and I slipped behind him, and I slipped behind him. Well, I counted. When I slipped behind him, I was going down longer than I thought. So when I finally landed, I hyperextended my knee, and I felt like a couple of cracks in my knee for like a brief second. Thankfully, I finished the match without even thinking about the pain because it was my first ever wrestling match, and when you have your first ever match, you don't think about anyone around watching you. You're just, it feels like you're having an empty arena match, and the pain went away, and if you have the adrenaline rushing, the pain goes away. But when I finally went to the back and sat down, my knee turned into a big bubble. It only lasted for a week and a half though, but never, thankfully, any serious injuries.
That's not going to work. Words for the public. People that are always tuning into Channel 56 to watch you. People who tuned into Monday Night Raw to see you. Any words for the public? For your fans?
If you're a wrestler and you go through that curtain and you don't hear anything from the fans, this is obviously not the place for you. And I can honestly say every time I go out there, whether I'm having the worst day of my life or I'm just having an awesome day, you make me feel welcome, whether it's booing or cheering. And I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty much because of the fans that helps us do our very best at that ring. And I just can't thank you enough for embracing me and supporting me, especially in championship wrestling from Hollywood. I can't thank you enough, and hopefully I won't let you down in the future.
You heard it here, folks. We had the man right here, Mikey O'Shea. I want to thank you once again for giving us the time. Mikey, thank you so much, and if you're in your favor, you ask us, and we'll take back. We'll do a dirty one for you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for sticking by, folks, all right? Have a good